It was just after 6 a.m. on a rainy Thursday in May 2015 when the 911 call came in from a prestigious gated community outside Atlanta, Georgia. The caller, Elena Whitmore, was frantic but composed. Her voice quivered, but only slightly, as she told the dispatcher that her husband, Dr. Charles Whitmore, wasn't breathing. He'd collapsed in bed, she said, and she couldn't wake him. By the time paramedics arrived, Charles was unresponsive. No pulse, no signs of struggle. Elena stood nearby, barefoot and dressed in a silk robe, her hands shaking as she clutched a steaming cup of coffee. Strangely calm, she whispered, "He just wouldn't wake up." Doctors later pronounced Charles dead at the scene. His death was initially classified as a probable cardiac event. After all, he was 44, a cardiac surgeon who worked under intense pressure with long hours and high stakes. Stress, they said, kills. But as the coroner zipped the body bag shut and Elena signed off on the preliminary paperwork, something didn't sit right. One of the paramedics would later tell police, "She cried, but there were no tears." Charles and Elena Whitmore were Atlanta's golden couple. He was a renowned cardiac surgeon, known for saving lives under impossible conditions. She was a former pharmaceutical sales rep, glamorous and charismatic, who had once been featured in a lifestyle magazine as one of the city's most stylish wives. Married for 12 years, they lived in a $2.5 million home with marble floors, a home theater, and a custom wine cellar. Outwardly, their lives seemed perfect. Charity galas, social media posts filled with anniversary tributes and lavish vacations, his and hers luxury vehicles, a dog named Valentino. But behind the filtered photos and picture-perfect public image, the Whitmores were unraveling. According to friends, the marriage had become strained in the last year. Charles, once attentive and affectionate, had grown distant. Elena, known for her vibrant personality, began to withdraw from her usual circles. Rumors swirled. Some said she suspected an affair. Others said Charles had grown tired of the life he once adored. What no one realized was how deep the cracks had grown, or how close the facade was to shattering. Initially, there was no investigation. Charles's colleagues at the hospital expressed shock and sadness. It was a tragedy, they said, for someone so young and accomplished to die so suddenly. But Charles's younger brother, Marcus Whitmore, wasn't convinced. Marcus, also a physician, had spoken with Charles just days before his death. "He told me he wasn't feeling right," Marcus later told investigators. "Not sick, but uneasy. He said Elena was acting strange, going through his phone, locking herself in the guest room. He even joked, 'If anything happens to me, look at her first.' That wasn't something Marcus could ignore. He requested a full autopsy, something Elena initially resisted. He wouldn't want that, she insisted. But Marcus persisted, and the coroner complied. The results were chilling. Toxicology revealed elevated levels of potassium chloride in Charles's bloodstream, enough to induce cardiac arrest. It wasn't something you'd ingest accidentally. In fact, potassium chloride is commonly used in lethal injections during executions. It stops the heart, but leaves no physical marks. Now, the question wasn't whether Charles died of natural causes. The question was, who wanted him dead? The deeper investigators dug, the darker the truth became. First came the life insurance policy, $3.5 million, with Elena listed as the primary beneficiary. Then came the recent changes to Charles's will, changes that removed Elena entirely and redirected his assets to a private trust in his brother's name. The updated document had been signed just 6 weeks before Charles died. Then came the surveillance footage. Investigators obtained video from the couple's home security system. At 3:12 a.m., the night Charles died, Elena is seen entering the guest bathroom with a small white box. one later identified as a medical supply container from Charles's locked cabinet. She stays there for 14 minutes before returning to the bedroom. When police reviewed her internet search history, the pieces fell into place. How to cause a heart attack without a trace. Potassium chloride dosage lethal. How soon does life insurance pay out? Can an autopsy detect injected poison? The most disturbing search came 2 nights before the murder. What does it feel like to kill someone you love? On August 18, 2015, Elena Whitmore was arrested at a day spa in Buckhead, just 3 months after Charles's death. She was charged with first-degree murder, insurance fraud, and unlawful use of a controlled substance. The trial captivated the city. Prosecutors portrayed Elena as a woman scorned, driven by jealousy, greed, and humiliation. In the weeks leading up to Charles's death, she discovered his affair with a 29-year-old nurse at the hospital. Though the affair had ended, Elena had secretly recorded their phone conversations, evidence that would be used against her in court. She knew she was being replaced. She knew about the will. And she knew that without Charles, her lavish lifestyle was slipping through her fingers. Her defense team argued that Charles had self-administered the potassium as part of an experimental sleep aid regimen, a claim quickly dismissed by expert testimony. After a 4-week trial and just 2 hours of jury deliberation, Elena was found guilty on all counts. She was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. To this day, she maintains her innocence. Elena Whitmore once said, during a television interview early in their marriage, "We're not perfect, but we know how to fight for each other." In the end, she fought for something else entirely: control, revenge, and survival in a world where image meant everything. The case of Dr. Charles Whitmore is a haunting reminder that not all murders happen in dark alleys or at the hands of strangers. Sometimes the deadliest threats sleep beside us, smile in photos, and kiss us goodnight. This wasn't a spontaneous crime. It wasn't fueled by momentary rage. It was planned, cold, calculated, and executed with surgical precision.